Superintendent. We are grateful to be here in Euclid. We just got a great tour and really saw some engaged students and some really amazing teachers. It's all about the teachers. It's all about the team you put together. So congratulations for that. Principal Mary Thomas, thank you for the tour. We appreciate it very much. We hope we didn't disturb too many classes, but very very impressive. What we saw. As you've heard, Euclid went to the science of reading right before the pandemic started, and so 2020. Fran and I have been traveling around the state. I think this is our 15th school, and we've picked schools that have started down the pathway of the science of reading, because what we want to do is be able to see exactly how that works. We want to see also, what we need to do from the state level to help the schools that are just this year now starting down that pathway. We want to take this opportunity today to announce our new initiative that is focused on literacy, what we are calling ReadOhio. ReadOhio encompasses our efforts to improve the literacy skills of Ohioans of all ages, early childhood through adulthood. It's never too early or too late to learn to read or to enhance your reading skills. There are many instructional methods out there, but the proven best way to teach reading is through the science of reading. The science of reading refers to the research that's been conducted for decades by scientists and reading researchers that shows there's an actual science to reading, and certain reading skills that need to be taught, certainly including phonics. As I said, it was a great visit today. People of Euclid have, I think, a lot to be proud of, certainly judging by what we saw today. As we said, here in the last few years, the teachers have undergone extensive literacy training and coursework to prepare to teach using this proven method. Throughout the spring, Fran and I visited classrooms all over Ohio that use the science of reading, and we've learned a lot, as we've learned a lot today. I asked our team to produce a video documenting the ways that many teachers are successfully using the science of reading across the state. Eric, who's right there, raise your hand, Eric. Eric and Eve from our team were directly involved and actually produced this, and they kind of followed us around when Fran and I would go to a school, and we would tell them, why don't you go interview some of the teachers and some of the students. And what we are really trying to do is to make sure, as I said, that the state is giving the help and assistance that we need to give to the schools that are just now starting. And we prepare this video because one of the things that we heard here today and we've heard in other schools is it's important for everyone, the teachers, administrators, parents, to understand the why. Why are we doing this? Why are we focusing on the science of reading? So we will now play this video, and again, this video is available. Education.ohio.gov/readohio. That's education.ohio-gov/readohio.
Word is, there we go, kiss your brains.
We want to be the best elementary school in the state of Ohio. I believe that if you teach kids how to read fundamentally, then you teach them to be critical thinkers. And if you teach them to be critical thinkers, you empower them to go into the world.
As snakes.
We like just sound it and then we keep trying it until we get the word. I got them out. It makes it easier for me to understand.
Easier because there is actual brain science involved in the science of reading methods.
Different parts of the brain work in unison systematically when you see a word or hear a word.
When someone is learning to read, pathways in the brain must be built. Science shows that when readers read, the brain activates letter recognition with the sounds that letters make to the meaning of the word. Explicit instruction helps to build these pathways.
Through instructional strategies that are based on the science of reading, we're able to help kids make those connections.
Dr. Dottie Erb, a prior skeptic, now embraces science of reading methods, which have been infused into teaching future teachers at Marietta College.
It is immoral to ignore what science tells us that will inform the way that we teach reading. This is a game changer.
The science of reading refers to 50 years worth of research from around the world about the brain, how proficient reading and writing develop, why some kids have difficulty, and how to assess, teach, and improve outcomes. Dr. Melissa Weber-Mayer, the Ohio Department of Education's literacy chief, explains that the science-based teaching includes 5 key skills.
They are phonemic awareness, which is the sounds that we hear. It is phonics, which is connecting sounds and letters, so identifying letters, but also knowing all of the sounds that those letters make, because letters make more than one sound. It is the amount of vocabulary that we know and are exposed to. It is fluency, and fluency not just in reading paragraphs, but also fluency in how fast can I decode a word and how accurately can I decode the word. And then comprehension, which is, do I bring meaning to what I'm reading? So part of what's happening in your brain is as you're being taught in this explicit, systematic, sequential way, your brain is putting this into your working memory so you can apply this later when you come to words that you don't know.
Dr. Weber-Mayer believes the move to science of reading instruction, which only some Ohio schools have made, is urgent. 40% of Ohio's third graders are not proficient readers. It is urgent, which is why, in places like Cincinnati, Dayton, and Heath, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine and First Lady Fran DeWine are watching the science of reading instruction in action, while pushing for every Ohio student, K through 12, to receive this science-based, systematic approach.
We know that reading proficiency dictates quality of life. We can make a huge difference in the lives of Ohio students.
We saw nearly a double a percentage in annual growth for their iReady assessments.
It is absolutely worth the investment, and I would argue that it is the highest lever for improving student outcomes as it relates to early literacy.
Sing, swing, or rhyme.
We're usually separating words and making them and spelling them and just fun stuff like that. How do you feel, Ofen? I love reading. I read almost every night. It gives me enough confidence to break down any word that I don't feel confident in.
And be thinking, what does the word say now?
And I'm proud that I have that much confidence because my teacher taught me how to read it.
The C makes the sound.
It is so fun to see the light bulbs going off, and when students are listening, speaking, writing, using tactile activities, all parts of the brain are being activated. When my students first took the district diagnostic assessment, we had 61% of my third graders below or well below grade level. Now we have 63% of students at or above grade level.
It was not about poverty, it was not about students' home life, it was about what we can do, what is it in our control in this building, what practices can we put in place to make sure that our kids are literate and that they can read.
You tell me the whole word. Are you ready? Tap along with me.
Our students in grades 3 through 5 engage in vocabulary instruction every single day. build background knowledge, learning the definitions, using sentences, talking with partners.
It feels good to have our parents walk in during our literacy nights and say, hey, thank you for doing this. I can use this with my family at home or with my kids.
K through second grade, our students engage in phonemic awareness activities every single day. Activities typically include rhyming, segmenting, blending, onset and rhyme. This activity helps them to understand how words are put together and taken apart.
When I think about literacy, I think of the great equalizer. It's equity. It gives them access.
TUCK.
Third grade proficiency test scores jumped from 50% to 91% over a 4-year period at Riverside Elementary.
Today, what you're going to do is practice doing tap it, map it, graph it, zap it.
Literacy specialist Margot Schiff works with teachers and even the new principal
STOP. Stop.
Nice.
to support science of reading instruction.
This district is willing to pay to have their teachers continue, the new teachers come in so that everyone speaks the same language. From intervention specialist to the speech language pathologist, to the kindergarten teacher, to the 6th grade teacher, everyone can talk the same thing.
At the beginning of the year, I was reading 6 words per minute.
And today,
I can read 101 words in a minute.
early reading achievement has a multiplier effect, creating more and more opportunities, which is why teachers are passionate about the science of reading methods they are seeing transform students every single day.
I want them to have the same chances that their other peers may have.
I want to be a pharmacological scientist. I want to be a pediatrician. I want to be a realtor. I want to be a scientist.
When they come to school, they should get what they need in order to be successful in this world. They deserve that as children.
Good things are coming. It's a start to empowering every child to meet their potential and do what they can do.
So again, we want to thank everyone in Euclid. The school made that decision in 2020, and we can learn from what they have done. One of the things that we're trying to do is to make sure that we, at the state level, are giving the schools that are just now, this week, starting down this pathway, to make sure that we give them the help and support that they need. And part of what Fran and I are doing as we travel around the state is just trying to learn from those who have done it, like you, what the obstacles were, what the challenges were, what works, and sometimes maybe what doesn't work as well as we do it. We try to help through our budget that the General Assembly approved. I want to thank them for doing that. The funding will do a number of things. One, it will pay for the cost of high-quality instructional materials aligned with the science of reading for public schools that do not have them. Next, we'll also support teachers by funding professional development in the science of reading and covering the cost of stipends for teachers to participate. 3, it will pay to provide additional literacy coaches, something that we talked about here today, the importance of the coaches. And we saw one of the coaches and what she was doing. Very, very important. It's been a common theme as we've traveled around the state, the importance of these coaches. It will also pay to provide additional literacy, as I said, literacy coaches to go into schools and districts that are most in need of support to help teachers implement the best practices. For our private schools, we have committed $26 million in federal COVID relief funds to pay for a range of education and support services, such as the materials, training, and literacy coaches needed to bring the science of reading to every classroom in the state of Ohio. We want to make sure that no matter where a student goes to school, they have the best opportunity to learn to read. Today, we're excited to move ahead with what we are calling ReadOhio, which really covers a number of different things that we are doing in regard to help people really have the key that kind of unlocks opportunity in this world. We are offering a free online toolkit with resources for school leaders to use to start or continue the conversation about the science of reading with faculty and with families. We're also promoting what we call Read It Again, a free curriculum supplement developed by the Crane Center for Early Childhood Research and Policy at The Ohio State University. It is designed to build the literacy and the language skills of infants, toddlers, and pre-K students so they arrive at kindergarten with the skills they need to learn to read. We encourage all preschools and child care centers across the state to take full advantage of the free digital learning opportunity that we are providing. And on social media this fall, we're beginning to offer tips online for parents and caregivers to help our youngest children grow their literacy skills from an early age. Again, links to all the materials I mentioned are, again, at education.ohio.gov/readohio. I'm going to ask Fran to talk a little bit about where we are in her initiative, the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, something that she got involved in right after I took office. Fran?
So I learned about the Imagination Library when I was with my own grandkids and the mail came, and I saw them open up these, get books in the mail addressed to them, and rip off that plastic, read to me, Grandma, and I thought, this is a terrific program. So I found out more about it. So since 2019, more than 12.5 million Imagination Library books have been mailed to children in Ohio. This month, we're at about 58% of all kids under the age of 5 that get the books, so that's really good. And if you don't know about the Imagination Library, it's a free book in the mail every single month from the time a child is born until they turn 5 years old. All they have to do is sign up, ohioimaginationlibrary.org. And I think since we're here at a preschool, so any of these kids under 5 that aren't signed up, we can get them signed up. So it's just a great thing. We're at about 385,000 kids now that are getting the books every single month in Ohio, which happens to be more than any other state. So we're real excited about that. It's 58%, so we're excited about that. It's a program, it's really what we need to get kids ready for what we're seeing here today. We know that a child's brain is 80% developed by the time they turn 3 years old, and so we don't want to waste those early years. So we just encourage you. We know that 58% statewide, but we're looking at that next 10%. Where are the kids we're missing? So if you can help us, if you've got kids in the school, if you can help us, it's so easy to sign them up. Every child is eligible, so we just sign them up, ohioimaginationlibrary.org, or if you just go to your public library, they'll be glad to sign you up too.
Let me like losing my place here, guys. Sorry about that. Yeah. Let me ask Chris to come up. Chris is acting superintendent at the Ohio Department of Education. He does a great job, and we've gotten to know him pretty well traveling around the state for the last month. So Chris, come on up here.
Well, thank you, Governor and First Lady DeWine, and thank you to the team here at Euclid for sharing your time and expertise and inviting us into this wonderful facility. As we were walking around, like, man, this is a great place to come to work every day. I am so excited to be here to visit and to share more information about the ReadOhio Toolkit. The school year just always brings so much energy. I was at a meeting yesterday, and somebody described it as Super Bowl week for educators. And I was like, that's actually a great analogy, and especially this year because of the things that we are talking about today. I mean, I think in my 20 years at the department, I think this is the most excited I've ever been to be out talking about something because it is so important. And there's urgency to this work. As the video pointed out, that last year, only about 60% of third grade students in Ohio were proficient readers. And our most vulnerable students were even less likely to be proficient. And we know from looking at Ohio data that students who are not successful readers are much less likely to hit any number of key indicators of future success. So whether that's graduation or whether that's being college or career ready. This is really, really urgent work. And the educators in the room are nodding your head this, sort of understand why this is so important. And which is why through the leadership of the governor and lieutenant governor and with the General Assembly, we are really excited to be talking about the science of reading, because we know that some Ohio districts and schools have already started implementing evidence-based practices like we've seen here today. But that is not the case across the state. And we must ensure that all Ohio students have access to curriculum and instruction that is aligned with the evidence-based practices of the science of reading. And through the ReadOhio and through the ReadOhio Toolkit, we have many resources available and information on the new requirements. These include resources to support our youngest learners, birth to age 5, as well as students in kindergarten through grade 12. And many of these supports are available now. So for example, the Literacy Academy On Demand provides short learning sessions from national experts to provide educators with a quick overview as well as tangible steps that they can take in their classrooms to improve instruction now. There are literacy specialists within Ohio's educational service centers and the state support teams that are already providing literacy support across the state. The recently passed state budget bill includes support for up to 100 additional literacy coaches in schools and districts targeted on the schools and districts that have the lowest proficiency rates in the state. This is really critical. As the governor mentioned, as we've been out doing this tour, I think that is maybe one of the top themes that we've heard time and time again about the importance of and the role of those coaches. And we saw it here this morning in Euclid. So we have 4 regional coaching coordinators that have already been identified in partnerships with our educational service centers. They're in the process of recruiting and training that first cohort of literacy coaches that will begin supporting schools this fall. Today, we're pleased to announce the newly developed toolkit, which is available at www.education.ohio.gov/ReadOhio. You can also just Google Ohio Department of Education, and when you get there, it's the front banner on the website. So obviously, it's front and center. So get to the Department of Education website and you can get to that ReadOhio toolkit. There are resources there for families to help them understand that the ability to read is the foundation of learning, and they can play a part in helping their children learn to read, including more information about the Dolly Parton Imagination Library that the First Lady discussed earlier. The historic investments in the state budget include many new activities and requirements for schools and districts. There's a timeline that will guide education professionals through these activities over the course of the next year. The first big activity, which is set to open up later this month, is a survey data collection, which will ask all districts to provide information on their literacy professional development, as well as which instructional materials that they're currently using. This will allow the state different places. And so that survey will be opening up later this month, and we'll be working and communicating out to all districts to make sure that they provide that information. The timeline also requires new requirements around professional development and the selection of high-quality instructional materials. So for professional development, all kindergarten and first grade teachers were already required to complete dyslexia training, and we've had roughly 25,000 teachers in the state have completed that dyslexia training. This year, second and third grade teachers in the state are required to complete that training, and that training is available now. The dyslexia training for second and third grade teachers is currently available. Additional PD on the science of reading will be available later in the year for teachers at all grade levels, and the state budget includes stipends to support teachers with that work. Additionally, schools and districts will be required to use high-quality instructional materials that are aligned to the science of reading starting next school year. So a year from now, there'll be that requirement to have those materials in place. There'll be more information on that timeline and the requirements that will be included in the toolkit in the coming weeks. We'll continue adding resources and information to the toolkit as it becomes available. And along with Governor DeWine and Lieutenant Governor Husted, the department is very excited about the focus and commitment to raising literacy achievement. We look forward to supporting all Ohio schools, educators, including those here in Euclid. Thank you for your time, and I'll turn it back over to the governor. Thank you very much.
So I know we have some principals from some of the other schools in the district. Would you all like to raise your hand back there? Thank you for what you do. Studies for many years have shown the most important person is the principal, and they kind of set the tone. So we won't tell the superintendent that, but you know. But thank you for what you do. We appreciate it very, very much. Happy to take any questions from the media. The other thing we can do is we can do I can get closer if you want to do that, whatever. Yeah, we can go now, yeah.
One thing that we just wanted to ask you is, it's obviously on the hearts and minds of everybody, was that bus accident that happened. One child had died, and so one question that really we've been focusing on is that seatbelt law with the school buses. So is that something where you could see pushing?
Well, first of all, our hearts go out to the families that have been impacted, the child who died, the other children who were injured. It is a parent and a grandparent's absolute worst nightmare. Every morning at 7:08 or 7:09, bus picks up some of our grandkids and takes them to school in Cedarville. So it's just, nothing worse we can think of. I think a couple things as we still try to process the gravity of this tragedy. One, the data clearly shows that school bus transportation is very, very, very safe. It would be, I think, a real shame if parents interpreted this horrible, horrible tragedy to mean they should drive their children to school. Some people do that, that's fine. Some people, by necessity, do that. But I would hope no one would make that decision saying, look, my kids are going to be a lot safer if they're in my own personal vehicle. The statistics show that's just simply not true. School bus transportation is a lot safer than having all these children be brought to school in cars. And it's hard to comprehend that when we look at this tragedy and we read about it, we see the pictures, but that is in fact true. For many, many years, there's been a lot of work done, regulations done, in regard to public safety or the safety of school buses. We have a lot of requirements in the state of Ohio. These buses are inspected by the Highway Patrol, a lot of regulations in regard to that. But because of this tragedy, I think we all are sort of looking at this and saying, what else could we do? Is there anything else we can do to make the buses, which are safe, but could we make them safer? And so what I'm going to do in working with the General Assembly is to put together a group to take a look at this and just to review it from every aspect and see, are there things that we could be doing in Ohio that will make a safe form of transportation even safer. I think we owe that to the families of Ohio. And the group we will announce in the next few days. We'll give them a short timeline to come back and give us in the General Assembly some recommendations. They may come back and say, look, we're doing fine, but my experience in life is you can always do better. And there's always things that maybe you're missing. And so let's take a look at this again. Let's take this tragedy, as horrible as it is, and use that as the push to look at, are there other things we could do to make our transportation system of our buses safer? With the knowledge that statistically in Ohio and in other states, this is a very, very safe form of transportation, and it's a safe place to put your children. Happy to take any other questions. Okay. Thank you all very much. Good to see everybody.